The Olympics is an enormous opportunity for us to showcase our spirit to the world. And the president's being there, I think, will make the difference. I think we're far more likely to get these games.
A rare moment of bipartisanship from Mitt Romney, the potential 2012 opponent to Barack Obama. He gives his trip to Copenhagen a thumbs up.
And if you thought the Senate Finance Committee was difficult, how about the International Olympic Committee? Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, analysis, insight, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And it's twitter.com/The Note for those of you who just can't get enough.
That's me. I can't get enough.
Good.
Kick us off, sir. What is your top line?
On your markups, the Senate Finance Committee today is debating two particular amendments that have a lot of people watching. Both would create some kind of a public option as part of this bill. Now, no one thinks really that these bills will pass, but it is being seen as an important marker in this debate. And some proponents of the public option saying they know they're not going to win this, but they do think that this enhances the chances of winning down the road because they're seeing at least the vigorous debate inside the committee later on the Senate floor that's going to include the public option.
I don't understand those advocates' math because I don't understand how this can be a good sign for them. If it comes down to the floor of the Senate, either you have the moderate Democrats like Blanche Lincoln or Evan Beyer, or you don't. 60 is a finite number that you need, and that means you need every single Democrat on board. You don't get there just by making an argument, well, a majority of the Democrats in the Finance Committee voted for it. That's not where these votes are.
The majority of the Democrats still a minority on the committee.
Without a doubt. War Council. Afghanistan is front and center for President Obama this week at the White House. He sits down with the NATO Secretary General today. That is their main topic of discussion. And he's going to have a private closed press meeting with Defense Secretary Robert Gates, was out on the Sunday shows this week talking about the Afghanistan policy. I think Vice President Biden, who has perhaps an opposing view to that of Secretary Gates, is going to be in on that meeting as well. And this is all in advance of the principals in his national security team coming together tomorrow for the first of what I believe are going to be 5 meetings. This is going to be the sort of Obama deliberative process on Afghanistan. No matter where he comes out on this, Rick, he wants to point back to the fact that he gave every single strategic potential well-considered time.
He has to consider, though, how far and how long he deliberates. Congress is moving just this week on Afghanistan policy, and they could be boxing him in as the further this goes along. If he's not setting the policy, they could be doing it for him. Olympic push. Michelle Obama on her way to Denmark this evening. President Obama just 2 days behind her to make an in-person case for the Olympics to come to their hometown of Chicago. This is great, David, if it works.
It is a high-risk thing. I still feel that they would not agree to put the president on Air Force One and fly overnight to Copenhagen if they didn't think it was a reasonably good shot of him bringing home the Olympics. I don't think you send the president with the idea that Rio is really the favorite and there's not much they can do to turn this around. So, you know, I know Rio's the favorite, but it seems to me that somebody's whipping votes and counting votes on the IOC and that they think there's a reasonably good shot for Obama.
Maybe a better chance than getting a Republican on health care.
There's no doubt there's a better chance on that. Going rogue. Yes, Sarah Palin's autobiography, memoir, her new book, which was supposed to come out in the spring of 2010. Talk about a diligent student here. I mean, she finished way early her assignment. It has a publication date now of November 17th, I believe, in time for the holiday shopping season. And I love that she decided to call it Going Rogue.
You know, when this term got currency, it wasn't meant as a compliment, I'm pretty sure. The fact that she's embracing it, though, tells you a lot about the themes that we'll hear about.
I know that you and I will both be buying it and reading it, no doubt. So everyone, circle your calendars for that. We're going to begin today, though, with the debate over Afghanistan and the healthcare debate that continues up on Capitol Hill. We're joined by Democratic congressman from my home state of New Jersey, Bob Andrews. Thank you very much, Congressman, for being here. Before we get to Afghanistan, can I just quickly check in with you on the healthcare debate, because that's happening in Senate Finance Committee today. And I know that you have said, listen, you know, there's going to be a conference committee. The House version is going to have a public option. It looks like the Senate version may not when you guys go to conference, and that some sort of compromise will have to emerge from that. Can you give me an example, draw a picture of what is that compromise that could emerge from conference on the public option?
Well, you could have a public option that has negotiated rates instead of rates tied to Medicare. The version of the public option that saves the Treasury and the taxpayers the most money ties the public option to Medicare rates. there's a less saving version of it that would have negotiated rates. That might be one compromise.
But still a public option.
Yes.
Give us a sense of the time frame right now. Is there any movement in terms of cobbling together these three different House versions, and when do you expect to see something on the House floor?
There's substantial movement. I believe we'll take a bill to our caucus this week and start asking people to vote for it. And I think you'll see floor action in the House within the next few weeks.
Excellent. I want to turn your attention, if I may, to Afghanistan. You're in the middle of both of these debates here on the House Armed Services Committee. I do want your sense of whether or not the president is already somewhat blocked in here on his options with Afghanistan. He laid out a strategy in March. Did he get too far ahead of himself? Because now it seems like he's reconsidering his options.
I think he's reconsidering his options in light of changes on the ground. Unfortunately, the Taliban has made some significant advances since March. The lack of international cooperation has frankly been an exacerbating problem since March. And I think he's doing what any good leader does, which is to reassess the facts and come up with different set of options.
But does he really have different options at this point? Are we too far along now? I mean, is it pretty clear to your mind of what he's going to do in terms of a new strategy, new troop levels?
I do think he has options. You know, there's a military strategy that's designed to flush out the Taliban and then start with the building of that society. There's another military option that would emphasize occupying that country for a very long period of time. I would favor the first option. I think a military strategy that flushes out the Taliban then gets our civilian agencies with the Afghans to work on building that society is the best one. But, you know, there is a longer-term military option that would be on the table as well.
Congressman, the military option that you're saying, the former one, the one you're more in favor of flushing out the Taliban, is that a military option that you think requires 30 to 40,000 more troops on the ground there?
I wouldn't want to put a number on it. I want to listen to the generals and see what they think is necessary. But here's one thing I think we can't do. I don't think that we can occupy a country that for 3,000 years has been unoccupiable. I think any strategy that assumes a long-term American presence is destined not to be a successful one.
But can you flush out the Taliban, as you're saying, let's say from drone attacks or somehow outside the country, or does it require a larger American footprint?
I think it requires a larger American footprint. I'm not sure how much larger. I think the military evidence is rather obvious that the use of drone attacks or other resources outside the country is by itself insufficient.
Back on healthcare for a moment. I saw in the interview that you gave this morning, you talked about your prediction that reconciliation is going to be necessary, that it's going to be 50 votes rather than 60, that is the Senate target. Is that really where we are right now? Do you think that we should even be trying or thinking about getting to 60, or is this about a simple majority at this point?
Yeah, I don't think I said I thought it would happen. I think I said it should happen. I think a much stronger plan for the country would come out with reconciliation, as was the case with the Reagan tax cuts in the early 80s, the Reagan-Dole-Rostenkowski deal on Social Security in '86, the Bush-Gephardt-Foley deal, Mitchell deal in 1990, the Clinton economic plan in 1993, the Bush tax cuts in '01 and '03. Every major piece of economic legislation in this country has gone that route, and I think this one should as well.
Look at that, a House member with a deep knowledge of reconciliation of the Senate side. Congressman, before we let you go...
I win a lot of parlor trivia games with that.
Before we let you go, quick question on the gubernatorial contest up there in the Garden State. How much trouble is John Corzine in, do you think?
He's in some trouble because every incumbent governor is in some trouble in this lousy economy, but he's gaining, and I expect him to win.
Great. Congressman Robert Andrews of Democrat of New Jersey, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate it. Still got a lot of trouble for John Corzine, even though his perfunctory winning prediction. Stay tuned, folks. Kevin Madden, Republican strategist, coming up right here on Top Line.